Hi everybody, welcome to the first calculator tutorial for statistics. On your right, you will see the important things that we need. But first, the calculator. The important keys that we use in this tutorial will be the second and mode. When we hit the second and mode, we'll go back to the home screen. And the statistic to go to the list. Of course, the enter key. And if we want to recall a list, hit the second and any number will get you list 1, list 2, and so on. Anyway, let's go to the first example here. So we will have a list of numbers. Now we just need to find the sample mean and standard deviation for that sample. Right. So first, of course, we have to enter this list onto the calculator. So to do that, with the start key. When we hit the start key, there will be 3 tabs. The first tab is edit, where we enter the list. The second tab is to calculate. In this tutorial, we only use the first one variable statistic. We only use the first option on that tab. We will not use the last tab, so pretty much the first and the second tab. Right. And every time we want to go back to home screen, second mode, second mode, back to home screen. Right. Now, first thing, we enter this onto a list. Hit start and edit, hit enter. Right, there's something in there already. We need to clear this. In order to clear a list, we just go up and highlight the list. So the list has to be highlighted. And then we hit the clear, and then the enter key. So the list highlighted, clear, enter. Right, same thing for this second list, clear, enter. Now it's clear. Right, now I will enter those numbers into the list. List 1. So 70, 72, 71, 70, 69, 73, 69, 68, 70, 71. Right. So I entered the numbers onto the list, and then we hit second mode to go back to home screen. Second mode. Right. So we got the list onto the calculator. We'll go back to start again. We have the list already. Now we just need to calculate it. So go to calculate. In this tutorial, we only use the first one variable statistic. So it's highlighted the first one, so we just need to hit enter. Right. List 1. The list is the list 1, which is good. Let's see if we don't have it. We will hit second and then number 1. Then we have list 1. We only have one list, so let's do that. Now we only have one list, and the statistic we calculate for that list, so we'll calculate and hit enter. Right, gives you everything, and we'll see that on this one the mean is 70.3. And the standard deviation is the S 1.49. And because this is the sample mean, we use that letter, and standard deviation also S. So this is sample. So pretty simple. Enter the list and then calculate under one variable statistic. Right. Right. Just that. Right. Before we do the next examples, I just want to go over something first. Let me zoom in. Right. Right. We have problem 2 and 3. So pretty much similar type of problem. We have the group data, or we have a class, and then with the corresponding frequency. Right. One asks for the standard deviation, and one asks for the mean. Of course, but that's not the difference between the two. The most important things that different between these two is that on the number problem 2 we have the weights, and on number 3 we have the number of students. Yeah. Note that the weights, it is a continuous data, and the number of students cannot be continuous, it has to be discrete. Right. So of course that's the difference, but besides that, the most important thing is do the calculation. Based on that will be other calculation different. And the answer, it will be different. So but first, when we talk about the class, for example, from 10 to 13, we cannot take any particular, we cannot take 10 or 13, we have to use just one number to represent the whole class. So we have to choose a number between 10 and 13. And the number to represent a class, we use that, what we call the class midpoint. So let's see, now we have the class midpoint. On both of them we will have class midpoint. Right. So pretty much for a class we just use one number to represent the whole class. Right. The difference between continuous and discrete data is this. For this discrete, when we set from 5 to 9, we mean 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's it. But when we write 10 to 13, we actually mean it could go up to 13.99 or very close to 14. When it starts 14, we will start a new class. So because it's continuous, it could potentially go very close to 14. Whereas discrete, we cannot do that. So because of that, the class midpoint in this case, it will be the mean between the consecutive lower limits. So for continuous, class midpoint will be based on consecutive lower class limit. Lower class limits. So the first class will use 10 and 14. So between 10 and 14, we just 10 plus 14 divided by 2. So that would be 12. So pretty much the average of the lower class limits, 14 and 18, that gives us 16, 18 and 22. 20, 18 and 22 is 40 divided by 2. 22 and 26 with 24, and then for the next one we actually have to have, that will be 30 onward. So it will be 26 and 30, that will be 28. Yeah, so consecutive lower class limits to find the class midpoint. So 10 to 14, 12, and then so on. Right. After that, we'll put this into list 1, and then this into list 2. We're going to do that in a minute, and I'll just do for this for the discrete. The class midpoint here will base on the lower and the upper class limit of the same class. So let me write it down. So for the first class from 5 to 9, 5 plus 9 is 14 divided by 2, so it'll be 7. 10 plus 14 is 24 divided by 2 is 12. And we have 17, 22, and 27. So yeah, the difference between continuous data and discrete data is how we calculate the class midpoint, and the class midpoint will represent the whole class. Right, of course that will go to list 1, and the list 2 will be the frequency. Right, now just use the calculator. Right, hit stat. Now we need to enter those into 2 lists. There's something there already, we need to clear that, so highlight that list, hit clear, and then enter. It's clear. Now we enter these values, 12, 16, 20, 24, and 28. Next, frequency 5, 8, 25, 10, and 3. Right, once we done entering, we hit second mode. Sorry, need to go back out. Right, now we just calculate the statistic. Now we have statistic for 2 lists. Statistic already have the list, so we just need to calculate. Still one variable statistic, still on the first one. Right, list 1 is the list we have. The frequency list is the list 2. So we go here to enter the list 2. We have to have second number 2, and then we just hit enter. Now we calculate. I'll just give you that. This one want the sample standard deviation should be 3.997. So S equal 3.997. Right. So whether we have 1 list or 2 lists, kind of the same routine. Right. Next we'll do this problem. We already have list 1 and list 2. So statistic, edit to enter the list. Something there already. Now we clear it, highlight the list, clear, enter. highlight the list, clear, and enter. Now it's clear. Now just enter the numbers 7, 12, 17, 22, 27. Enter. Right. List 2, 5, 10, 30, 50, and 12. We have two lists. Enter onto the calculator. Once we're done, second mode, back to home screen. Now we have the list, just need to calculate, so go to the next tab. One variable statistic, that's good. The list is list 1, the frequency list 2, which is good. So we just need to calculate. And we have the mean is 19.52 or 19.5. And this is, let's assume that this is the sample mean. So we use the X bar. Right. Yeah. So once again, note that the class limits, the class midpoints are different for continuous data and the discrete data, and how we calculate that. And the values usually will be list 1, and the frequency will be the list 2. Right. Now go to the next example. This is the weighted mean. I'll just summarize the data like this. We have pens or number of pens, and then we have the price. Right, 10 red pen, 1.49 each. 3 green pen, 3 blue pen, 119. 3 green pen, 1.59. And 7, 1.09. Right, the color doesn't really matter. We just need to have the average cost. Right. So obviously we see that we have two lists. The only problem is which one is list 1 and which one is list 2. So to do that, we take a look at the question. The question 1, the average cost. So pretty much the mean of the cost. And notice that the cost here, the answer is going to be let's say in dollar. That's what we should be. So the cost is dollar. The price is also in dollars. Now go back to the previous examples. We see that the frequency is the list 2, and the list 1 will have the similar values, the similar unit as the mean. So for example, on question 2, we have the weights, the mean, standard deviation of the weight, and the weight will be the list 1. The number of students will be the number of students in the class will be in here. That will just the frequency. So pretty much, so in this case, the price dollars, we have the same unit as the mean. So we have list 1 and list 2. So I just want to write a little note here. So mean has the same unit as what we have for list 1. Both of them dollars in this case. On this problem, I will use the TI-83, so we look a little bit different than the TI-84 that we used earlier. Right. Let me wait a second. Let's use on my cell phone, maybe it look better. Let me zoom in. I'm much closer to the light, maybe. Yeah, much better. I have to change the brightness of the camera. Alright, that's good. That over a little bit. Right. Right. Same thing. Is that right, I think that will do. The list is here. So hit start and edit the same thing. List 1 is this 1.49, 1.19, 1.59, 1.09. Right. So we have that for list 1. List 2 is 10, 3, 3, and 7. Right. So we have that list. I mean those two in two lists. Now we just need to calculate the statistic. Pretty much the same thing. Go to the second tab to calculate one variable statistic. Same way. Hit enter. It did not ask you for the prompt where we enter the list 1 and list 2. Pretty much the same thing. We will just hit second L1 and then second, comma, second L2. Now we take the one variable statistic for the first list. The list 2 will give us the frequency. So it looks different, but it will calculate the same thing. And we have the mean 1.34. So again, when we hit stat and one variable statistic, we have to indicate what list do we want. That also works, but in this case we need to have two lists. So clear stat one variable statistic, list 1 and the list 2 for frequency. Right there. Right. Right. So depends on the calculator. It might look a little bit different. In here where we do statistic and calculate, and it will ask us the list. The TI-83 will not ask us to do that, so we have to enter. We do not have this screen, so we have to enter that like we see it, L1 comma L2. Anyway, I think that will be enough for the how we use the calculator to calculate the statistic, the simple statistic for a list, or a list with a frequency. I mean the other way around, a list with a frequency. And I will end the video right here. Thanks for watching.